Diane with Allied, and here we are talking about mobility and the equipment we use for this. Let's start by talking about crutches. Rarely do we see crutches used in long-term care, but you might. It's possible. So let's talk about it. These would be much too tall for me because crutches should be able to go under my armpit. When I use crutches, I should not use them. The pressure should not be here. It should be on this. Do you see? So you push down with your hands, and the crutch should come just under the armpit. And then you do a swing through. Hit, swing. You can also do a walk with a crutch, like that. But the crutch, when the person stands up, should come about 2 inches under the armpit. Now, physical therapy should set this up for you anyway. But it's occasionally they'll get crutches from someone else, their husband, their wife, a friend, and you can clearly see if they're not in the right place for them. Okay, let's talk about canes now. Canes, you'll see. There's the regular straight cane, which really we don't recommend that much. This is called a quad cane for obvious reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4. It stands on its own. It's much more solid. This might be a little tall for me, but this, you can see how this would be very helpful to a person to walk. This would be my weak side. So it's supported like that. Quad canes, all canes, except for the old original like wooden cane or something, should be adjustable in 2 ways, both this way and this way. Okay. They should have a good grip, and you'll even see some canes that have a place where a person can lay their arm and have a strap here should their hand not be able to grip. There are several things that can be used to help a person be more independent. Walkers. Walkers are very popular. This is a clever little thing here. We used to call these the hot rod. And you can see they have handbrakes. They can also be used to sit down if somebody gets tired or weak or has to wait in line. But can you see how this might be dangerous? Think about it. If this is the handbrake, how are you going to keep the brakes on while you turn around and sit down? That can be difficult to maneuver. This can cause falls just all on its own. However, a lot of folks love them and they don't want to give them up. So you just need to be aware of the risks in this. Okay? Your classic walkers. Classic walkers, most of them all will fold like this. And unfold. These are called skis and are meant to smooth along the floor like this. Usually wheels on the front, skis, sometimes tennis balls on the back. The way a walker is to be used correctly is to break this when they walk. So they shouldn't be walking like this. Nor should they be walking like this. Rather, like this. This one is the correct height for me. Should come about to the hip like this. Should not be up high or too low, where they have to lean over. Folks with Parkinson's tend to have a shuffle gait, and they can end up like this. You can see how that can be dangerous. this. When this happens, we don't want to scold them because they can't help it. But we do want to stop and say something like this. Whoa, George, that walker's getting ahead of you again. Just let's move up in it a little bit and then let them go again. Because this, again, is how it should be done. Traditionally, picking up the walker like this. A lot of folks don't have the muscle power to do that. And so you'll see the ones with the wheels and the skis so they can push it along like this. Okay? Another type. This one is an ultralight. You can see how it folds up like that. And again, you'll see folks use it like this. And this one is proper height for me again. Do you see how it hits about the hip? And I have a slight bend in my elbow. Remember, they should break this plane when they walk, not walk inside of it, not walk outside of it, but like this. Okay, and then if it tends to get away from them, and it usually does, we just stop and allow them to get caught up. Let's talk about some wheelchairs for a minute. This is called a transfer chair. And it's called a transfer chair because we use it for transferring people, taking them to the doctor, simple little things. The reason why we like this a little bit better than a regular wheelchair for these type of things is because it's much lighter, much lighter. Now, look at the difference between a traditional wheelchair and a transfer chair. And let's see if you can see the difference. Look at the wheels. Do you see how this is a very large wheel? Look at that. The front wheels are about the same, aren't they? But you see the back wheels? Yeah. So in this chair, I can grab a hold and move myself. Not so in this chair. This chair is made for just transferring folks. So you push it down like that, and then you can see how you could put the person in there and easily get them from point A to point B. But these wheels will go up over large cracks or thresholds and doorways, elevators much easier because the wheel's larger. These not so much. But this is much lighter, about half the weight as this one. So if I'm having to load this wheelchair into a car, this one's smaller, lighter weight, and easier to maneuver. If I had to maneuver the wheelchair on my own, I wouldn't like this one, would I? Because I wouldn't be able to do this. I could do it with my feet, though, unless I had the pedals on it. Okay, and then to fold it up, simply pull it up. You can also fold down these to fold so that the chair is very compact. That's a transfer chair. Okay. This is a traditional wheelchair. I'm going to show you something that you might want to be careful of. Watch how when I pull this wheelchair out, do you see how this comes down and engages here? If you're not careful and you don't get this fully engaged, it can pinch their skin. So make sure you push it all the way down and engage it before you transfer them in there, because those pinches are bad. The bruises are enormous. Okay, you see that? So you want to make sure you get a good width. Another thing I want to show you, almost all the new wheelchairs do this now. Can you see why that would be a great thing to have? If I'm transferring someone from a car or a bed, and maybe they're very weak, maybe I'm picking them up from the hospital and they just had surgery or something, I might put this up so I don't have to lift them up over the arm. I can just quickly get them in without as much clearance. Yeah? Okay. Now, a wheelchair should always go forward. When you have someone in there, you need to be going forward, except when you're going down a ramp. I mean, think about it. Do you want to take them down a ramp like that? That could be dangerous. So when you're going down ramps or in elevators, then you go backwards. Otherwise, you go forwards. And the reason you go backwards in an elevator is if you go forward, they're facing the wall. Not okay. So you go backwards in the elevator and they can see people that are coming on the elevator or going off the elevator. It's much more polite. Next thing, pedals. This is a complex pedal, as you can see. There are some very basic pedals, and then there are some pedals that will raise the whole leg up. This is an example of one of those. Okay. These have holes in them that match here. You simply match them up, and then swing them till they click. Listen. See? This keeps the leg and the foot. Now watch, if somebody needs to elevate their feet, we pull it up like that. Anytime you're transferring someone in or out of a wheelchair, the pedals need to come off. Don't just put this up. Take the whole pedal off. Pedals can get entangled in their feet. These can cause skin tears. Just take them off. Much more safe that way. In storing a wheelchair, simply pull up and it collapses. Pivot board. This is a cool little thing. Can be dangerous though. This is for our folks that have difficulty with their feet, moving their feet. This is when you're getting them out of their wheelchair or out of the bed. You put their feet flat on here, hold the gait belt, stand them up on this, and then it pivots. You see? So you pivot them to the wheelchair, which you would have right here, and then sit them down. Or stand them up, pivot them over, and sit them on the side of the bed. It's a pivot board. If you use this, you have to be very careful, have a gait belt on them, and be ready. Make sure they understand what's going to happen as well. Next item that I like to use is called a transfer board. These are examples of transfer boards. They come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, but the theory behind them is the same. They slide on it. So if I have someone, the place I like to use them the most is going from a wheelchair to a car, or a car to a wheelchair, or a bed to a wheelchair. Example. Let's say I'm using this wheelchair. Again, make sure it's fully engaged. And I need to take them maybe from the bed to the wheelchair. This is just a wonderful way to do it. It would go like this. Now, do you see how I'm going from higher to lower? Of course, the wheelchair must be locked. The bed must be locked. Your client Your resident must be informed, understand what's going on. They're sitting on the side of the bed. Doesn't matter which one you use. This goes underneath them and they simply slide down here. Very nice for people that are just cannot, maybe they're very weak, they're ill, we need to get them to the doctor's office. It's a great way to be able to use it. Now, what would I do if I was going the other direction? Well, that certainly wouldn't work, would it? It's harder to go uphill. So I would put the bed lower. I would put the bed lower so gravity is going with me. Gravity's working with me. If there's a way to have gravity or a machine help you, let it happen. Think it through first. It's better to work smarter than harder. You've heard that before. These are just some ideas and tips that might help you in your career as you help our people be more independent. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.